Hej och välkomna till dagens intervju med Sensys Gatso Group. Tillsammans med mig i studion idag här på DNB Carnegie har jag Louis Miller som är ny vd på bolaget. Jag kommer nu att gå över helt och hållet till engelska. Louis, very welcome to DNB Carnegie Studio and your first time here in Sweden representing Sensys Gatso Group.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me. Happy to be here.
Yeah. It would be great to hear everything about you and your experience and how you look at things. But to start with, can you explain what is your industrial background and what have you done before and who are you?
Yeah. Well, again, my name is Louis Miller. Happy to have had the opportunity to join Sensys Gatso as CEO. It builds on 20 plus years of experience in the industry. I actually started in this space in around 2002, 2003, coincidentally working with Gatsometer at the time. And then through various companies and positions, have worked extensively, starting in North America, in Europe, Western Europe, and in Asia Pacific. Primarily in operational and sales roles, which I think all positioned me well to take advantage of this opportunity with Sensys Gatso.
Okay, sounds like a good start. We'll focus on the US market in this interview since you're based in the US and you have a lot of experience from that market. But can you give us a bit of an overview of the US automatic traffic enforcement? How did it start? What was the milestones and where are we today?
Yeah, it's an industry that's grown up in the U.S. Largely starting in the late or early to mid to late 1990s, evolving from the film world into the digital world, largely with red light camera enforcement into speed enforcement over that time. The market in the U.S. is it's often spoken of as one market, but it's really 50 or 51 markets if you include the District of Columbia, because automated enforcement is largely regulated at the state and local level in the U.S. It's expanded. It's not authorized in every state in the U.S., but it's continued to expand. We do at times see negative activity in certain states, but net over time, it's continued to grow and gain greater acceptance across the country. In terms of current market trends, the last few years in particular have seen an acceleration in the opening of markets in different states and also different use cases. A heavy emphasis on use cases tied to safety. We've seen lots of legislation in areas such as construction or work zones using automated enforcement as a tool for speed enforcement, school zones, school bus enforcement in the U.S. A lot of children go to school on public school buses that have stop arms that stop traffic to allow the offboarding, and making sure that vehicles are stopping in those situations. So we've seen an acceleration in the market of new states, new cities, new use cases, and so that creates a lot of opportunity, including for Sensys Gatso.
Okay, what would you say are the characteristics in states that allow for or states or municipalities that allow for automatic traffic enforcement? Is it different political balance, or is it anything else that is determining whether the states are allowing for this or not?
Yeah, we do see a certain political divide in automated enforcement, although like a lot of things in today's world, some of those lines aren't as clear anymore. It's largely true that automated enforcement is more common in urban areas or higher population areas as well. There's a concentration somewhat more in the coasts and in what would be traditionally thought of as blue states versus red states, but that's not entirely true as well. I think we're seeing different states view the technology as something that can be used as a multiplier and a way to enhance safety in their communities.
You touched upon it that you is actually not one market, it's a lot of markets. Can you just briefly describe how the legislative framework is divided from the federal level to the state level and then to the municipality level?
Yeah. So while you have some instances in the U.S. where federal funds may be used or grant money may be used to support certain projects, typically automated enforcement in the U.S. is enabled through state law or state legislatures, which enables the use of the technology in those states. And sometimes that can be broadly for red light enforcement, speed enforcement, school bus enforcement, or other types of use cases. Sometimes it will start with one and then grow to different use cases. At the municipal level or the city or county level, often what that state legislation does is enable cities or counties to pass their own regulations or ordinances consistent with that state legislation, and we frequently see that the cities and counties using that state legislation to enact their programs.
In which you're present in some states, but not in all, of course, given the structure of this. In which states do you see the biggest potential, given the current legislative framework?
Well, we see lots of opportunities in lots of states. Each year, I probably won't speak to specific states today, but we do see trends. Again, I mentioned earlier that where states are looking to tie the use of the technology to safety or specific problems that they're looking to solve. So an example of that would be construction or work zones. We've seen multiple states enact new legislation to support that type of enforcement all across the country. Recent examples would include states in the Northeast, the Midwest, the West, so really not limited geographically. There's a recognition that this is a excellent tool to help slow or to slow people down in situations where there's safety risks for people working on the roads or other drivers on the roads. Another example of that would be school zones, trying to make sure that kids can get back and forth to school safely, and that's been adopted in a variety of jurisdictions, sort of crossing those political boundaries we discussed earlier. So I think we see broad adoption of the technology in multiple states, particularly where we can have those use cases tied to safety.
We will focus a little bit on Iowa. Iowa has been on a topic for Census Gatso, and could you explain with all your experience from the states, what triggered a different attitude towards speed enforcement? What happened, and how have you, as a company, adapted to all these changes that has taken place over the last year?
Yeah. So Iowa is an interesting case study of how I think legislation evolves in the U.S. in particular states over time. The technologies was widely adopted in Iowa, but without a lot of rules governing its use. And I think over the last several years, there was legislative activity to try to put in place standards and rules for the use of the technology, which resulted in the legislation passed last year. In the short term, that had some disruptive events or impacts, but in the long run, I think it stabilizes the situation in Iowa. Everyone knows what are the correct use cases for the technology, and it enables us to build back consistent with those rules. So I would expect that we're going to continue to have a presence in Iowa, that presence will continue to grow. and we now have a stable framework in which to build upon.
Okay, thank you. Interesting. You touched a little bit on the competitive landscape. Can you describe the competitive landscape, and in particular, how do you view, as a newcomer to the company, where is the competitive advantages of Sensys Gatso?
Sure, I probably won't speak to the other competitors in the industry, but I do think it is a competitive marketplace. I think the fact that there's so much opportunity in the U.S. means that you have a lot of companies that are interested in competing in that market. In terms of Sensys Gatso, I think we're well positioned to capture our fair share of that market. I think we bring a unique global perspective on how to solve problems for states, counties, cities using the technology. We have well-built, dependable systems that perform over time and are a good choice for jurisdictions looking to establish long-term relationships. So I think we have good technology solutions, talented teams, and we're well positioned to capture that market.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you very much for coming here and joining us.
Appreciate it. All right.
And looking forward to see you many times here again.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Tack ni som har tittat. Det avslutar dagens intervju.